When Zendaya started stepping out wearing what looked like a wedding ring, fans thought they had the story figured out. The internet lit up with claims that she and Tom Holland had quietly tied the knot behind closed doors. No announcement, no photos. Just subtle clues and a lot of speculation. But then something didn't add up. Just days later, Tom appeared in public smiling relaxed, celebrating a major moment in his career, and there was one detail no one could ignore. No ring. Not even a hint of one. So what's really going on here? Did one of Hollywood's most private couples secretly get married? Or is this entire story built on assumptions that don't quite hold up? Because once you start looking closer, the timeline, the statements, and even their public appearances begin to tell a much more complicated story. Tom Holland didn't just step out quietly, he showed up in a way that instantly grabbed attention. Early that morning, he was spotted at the iconic Empire State Building in New York City, celebrating the trailer launch of his upcoming Spider-Man film. It was one of those polished high-visibility appearances where every detail gets noticed. And this time, fans were watching extra closely. At first, everything seemed normal. Tom looked upbeat, energized, completely in his element. But within minutes of photos hitting social media, something small turned into a massive talking point. His left hand, no ring, no band, nothing. And fans didn't miss it. Screenshots started circulating, people zooming in, comparing angles, replaying clips, just to be sure. Because just days earlier, the internet had been flooded with claims that he had secretly married Zendaya. So naturally, people expected at least one quiet confirmation, a simple gold band, something subtle. But there was nothing. That single detail flipped the entire narrative. Instead of confirming the rumors, it raised even more questions. Was this proof that the marriage talk wasn't real? Or was it a deliberate move to keep things hidden? Because the more people looked at that moment, the clearer it became. This wasn't just a random appearance. It was the moment that made everyone stop and rethink everything they thought they knew. And what came out next only made things even more confusing. But this didn't all come out of nowhere. The entire internet frenzy can be traced back to one unexpected moment. When Law Roach casually dropped a line that sent fans into a spiral, during a public appearance, he hinted that Zendaya and Tom had already taken the next step, even suggesting their wedding had already happened. That single comment was enough. Within hours, social media exploded. Headlines started forming, fan pages treated it like confirmation, and suddenly, what sounded like a vague remark turned into a full-blown narrative. Zendaya and Tom Holland had secretly gotten married. No photos, no official announcement, no statements from either of them. Just one comment and a lot of assumptions. And the thing is, rumors like this don't spread unless people already believe something might be true. Fans began connecting dots from past interviews, their low-key relationship, and how fiercely private they've always been. It started to feel believable. Almost too believable. But here's where it gets interesting. Nothing was ever actually confirmed. No documents surfaced. No insider reports backed it up. Just speculation building on speculation. Still, the idea refused to die down. In fact, it only gained momentum. Because right when people started questioning whether it was real or not, Zendaya's next moves added even more fuel to the fire. And this is where things started to feel a little too intentional to ignore. Because while the internet was busy debating rumors, Zendaya was stepping out looking different. Not dramatically, but in ways that fans immediately picked up on. First, there was the ring. Not just her engagement ring from Tom Holland, but a simple gold band paired right next to it. Subtle, classic, and exactly the kind of detail people associate with a wedding ring. And the interesting part, she didn't wear it once. She wore it repeatedly. That's when people started paying closer attention. Then came the outfits. Zendaya began showing up in a series of all-white looks, clean, elegant, almost bridal without being obvious. One appearance in particular stood out, where she wore a design by Vivienne Westwood that looked strikingly close to a modern wedding dress. It wasn't labeled that way, but it didn't need to be. Fans started connecting everything. The ring, the outfits, the timing. Individually, none of it proved anything. But together, it painted a picture that was hard to ignore. Online discussions shifted from maybe to this has to mean something. Still, there was one problem. No confirmation. No statement. Not even a hint from Zendaya herself, which only made people look even closer at her behavior, especially when she was finally asked about it directly, and then came the moment everyone had been waiting for. Zendaya finally sat down for an interview on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and naturally the topic couldn't be avoided. By that point, the rumors were everywhere. Fans were convinced, headlines were building momentum, and all eyes were on her response. So when the question came up, people expected something revealing. Instead, she smiled and brushed it off. Really? I haven't seen any of that. That was it. No denial, no confirmation. Just a light, almost playful reaction that left everything wide open. And honestly, That response only made things more confusing. Because if the rumors were completely false, why not shut them down clearly? And if they were true, why act like it was nothing? Fans immediately started analyzing her tone, her expression, even the way she laughed it off. Some believed she was dodging the question on purpose. Others thought she was genuinely amused by how far things had gone. But one thing was clear. She didn't give the internet the clarity it was looking for. And that silence, it only added fuel to the speculation. Because while Zendaya kept things mysterious on camera, Tom's next move off camera raised even bigger questions. And this is where everything starts to feel a little off. Because when it comes to Hollywood couples, especially ones surrounded by marriage, rumors, there's one thing people almost always look for: the ring. It's the simplest, most silent confirmation. No statement needed, no announcement required. Just a small detail that speaks for itself. Which is exactly why Tom Holland not wearing one stood out so much. It wasn't just that he skipped it once, it was when he skipped it. Right in the middle of peak speculation, right when fans were already convinced that he and Zendaya had secretly tied the knot. And in moments like that, every choice feels intentional. Fans quickly split into theories. Some argued it proved the rumors were overblown, that if he were really married, there's no reason to hide something as simple as a band. Others believed the opposite, that not wearing a ring was actually part of keeping things private, a way to avoid confirming anything publicly. There were even more practical explanations floating around. Some pointed out that actors often remove jewelry for events, filming schedules, or even security reasons. After all, wearing a noticeable ring at a high-profile appearance could invite the exact attention they've spent years trying to avoid. But here's the thing: none of those explanations fully settle it. Because when you put it next to Zendaya, consistently wearing hers, the contrast becomes impossible to ignore. One leaning into the speculation, the other stepping away from it. And that contrast is exactly what keeps people questioning everything. Because if this was all untrue, why do their choices feel so carefully balanced? And if it is true, why does it feel like they're sending completely different signals? The answer might not be in that one moment, but in how they've handled their relationship from the very beginning. And if you look at how Zendaya and Tom Holland have always handled their relationship, the confusion starts to make more sense. From the beginning, they've kept things extremely private, rarely confirming details, avoiding oversharing, and only letting the public see small moments at a time. Even after they were clearly together, they never changed that approach. No big announcements, no constant updates, just controlled selective visibility. And that's why every small detail now feels bigger than it might actually be. Because we're only ever seeing fragments, not the full picture. At this point, nothing is clear anymore. Every detail around Zendaya and Tom Holland is being picked apart: rings, outfits, interviews, even silence itself. Fans are split right down the middle. Some believe the clues point to a secret marriage, carefully kept away from the public. Others think it's all just overinterpretation, normal choices blown up into a bigger story by the internet. And the truth is, both sides have something to stand on. But nothing is confirmed. No statement. No proof. Just speculation building on speculation. So what's really going on? Right now, it depends on what you choose to believe. At the end of the day, the only thing certain is uncertainty. Between all the rumors surrounding Zendaya and Tom Holland, nothing has been confirmed, yet everything keeps fueling discussion. Maybe there's a secret behind the silence, or maybe it's just the internet reading too much into small details. Either way, the story keeps growing, not because of facts, but because of curiosity. And until something is officially said, people will keep guessing what's really going on behind the scenes.